Hello everyone, another very interesting thread on Spectrum. I had to make this video. Software class, flight model, still busted after years. Am I the only one who is still bothered by seeing ships floating in atmosphere at any angle? Looks like they made out of styrofoam, just floating and spinning around at any angle with no mass. Star Citizen in year 13 still has very little physics. No one expects perfect physics, just some physics that look alright at first glance. There's no mass simulation, no inertia. Ships, vehicles, containers, everything has the mass of an empty paper bag. In the image you can see two Atris just floating around. You would think that capital-sized ships would actually feel heavy. Sad to see the same issue after God knows how many years. Added, nice to hear, CRG is aware and working on it. Don't get your hopes up, CRG is aware of a lot of things. CRG showed us videos 10 years ago with things that are still not in the game, now in year 13. Yogi replied, this is a lot of text, sorry I'm using again text-to-speech.
The floaty big ships won't get resolved until we roll out the updates to the flight model, which will include the control surface tech for atmospheric flight. The general ability of ships to float is simply driven from their ability to counter gravity. It's a bit of a between a rock and a hard place situation. We don't want to hamstring the ships so that they can't take off, but at the same time we also dislike ships hovering with their nose down indefinitely.
Let this sink in. According to Carl Jones, CRG is at $1 billion in funding, we are in year 13, and CRG still has no idea how the flight model is supposed to work. This is unbelievable incompetent. The flight model should have been one of the first things to get nailed down, and then CRG should have designed new ships.
Now there is two ways to handle that. 1. Balance the thruster efficiencies in a way so that in standard Earth atmo the ships only provide enough thrust if their VTOLs are deployed. 2. Add some fakey FM stuff that auto-corrects the ship attitude or even limits it. At the moment, we are naturally working more towards approach 1, but it has some difficulties that we need to deal with properly. Thrust in general would be very limited, and in default 1G environments only vertically VTOL aided or forward thrust would provide enough Gs to stay afloat. However, that also means that retro or lateral thrust would need to be so weak that at the same time it would be very easy to crash land your ship, which naturally conflicts with the idea of an approachable game, as you can imagine. So if we go for that first approach, we need to add a few more things. Automated controls that kind keep your ship from dipping over, maybe even an attitude hold autopilot mode, specifically during landing. A reliable indication of your thrust-to-weight ratio against gravity that takes cargo weight into account so that you don't try to take off or land overloaded. Some more help during landing so that players can land easily without going nose down. A downwards angled landing cam, for example, or a general landing UI.
I would like to point out, again, we had a perfectly working landing radar before 3.0. When we got 3.0, CRG threw it into the trash and replaced it with nothing. This was more than 7 years ago.
Now that's just me saying what's on your mind at the moment. We're currently busy with the flight model updates. Space flight model is done. Control surfaces tech and new quantum is not yet, and we'll get to these topics of atmospheric ship hovering fairly soon. It does not mean that what I described above will ultimately end up in the game though. We will try these things out internally, but we might end up deciding against that if it's too punishing. We'll see when we'll get there.
Yeah, once again, CRG has no clue what they are doing. In year 13, CRG is still throwing spaghetti at walls and check what sticks. If anyone thinks we can get in 1.0 in next 2 years, you are deeply mistaken. A flight model is so basic, it should be nailed down in the first years. Rand wrote, genuine question, how do you expect news like new quantum travel isn't done yet to be received by the community when new quantum has been shown and described to the community for years? It was shown at CitizenCon 2023 and we were told we would see it in the next 12 months. Yeah, Chris made a lot of promises at CitizenCon 2023, most of those are still not in the game. CitizenCon 2024 and many other marketing materials frequently show ships quantum boosting up from atmosphere, etc. Yogi replied, I'm not asking you to have faith, I'm really just stating where our development reality is. Yes, we showed quantum boosting during CitizenCon 2023, But since then, requirements in other parts of the gameplay have changed significantly, requiring changes in the general design and implementation. Frankly said, it's not ready for delivery and it's nothing unusual. Iterations happen in game development all the time and it's just part of the process. This statement, requirements and other parts of the gameplay have changed significantly, requiring changes in general design and implementation, means that once again, CRG never has a plan, never has a concept, never thinks in advance, and never thinks things through. If you ever wondered why CRG has so little to show for after $1 billion in funding in year 13, here's your answer. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye, auf Wiedersehen! Hey, you're still here. You might want to join me on Twitter or on Blue Sky.